Hey, there we go. We are back again. I know you're all glad to see me. Well, are you? A couple of you said, well, I'm not really sure yet. Okay, we'll see if we can change your mind. Okay, I've got another request here. Kind of interesting enough how the quantum meetings work. Is someone's asked me to do another video on the dream state training. That's kind of interesting because I got a video that I've done that I've been sitting on for a while. And I think I'm going to put it up today after seeing this. I kind of funny how I do things sometimes. I don't really have a plan per se, like a three-dimensional plan of how I'm going to do things or how I'm going to do videos kind of thing. I just kind of watch what, flows toward me. And it kind of gives me an indication when to do something or when to put a video up. It's kind of funny. I wasn't going to put this thing up for a while, and all of a sudden I get 3 or 4 people who have been talking about dream state training, and I'm going to put it up today after I do this video. Anyway, this one here is about, again, dream state training. And I have to say, I can recall a few months back when, the dreams are starting to get pretty flamboyant and everything else. And the training exercises are becoming interesting. And sometimes I can't tell whether I'm asleep or awake or half awake and half asleep, or I'm in some kind of la-la land or whatever the hell's going on. But I got to say something, and I think it's going to come as a surprise to a lot of people. I can't, even I'm going to say it here, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I actually look forward to going to bed at night. I can't wait to get there. Can you believe that? I mean, I'm excited to go because I know it's going to be fun time. You would not believe some of the stuff I'm doing in the dream state. You wouldn't believe it. Of course, some of you probably wouldn't because you're probably doing the same damn thing I am. You're having a friggin' ball, okay? What I've discovered is a lot of the dream state training that we have had in the past has been kind of a prep, if you will, or to get us ready. Because I think I'm sorry, I can't stop laughing because I was just thinking about some of the stuff I was doing last night. I'm just saying if some of these people could see all the fun that I'm having in the dream state, they wouldn't even bother with Netflix or, going to Cancun for the weekend or, going to camp for the weekend or doing a barbecue sitting around with a 24 box of beer or something. Because I can tell you some of the stuff I'm doing in the dream state is like really, really wild. I'm telling you one thing, I'm sure as hell not bored. Okay, I am, kind of bored with what I see in the physical going on is the same old shit all the time with a lot of people. We've got election going on here in Canada. Kind of funny, tomorrow we're supposed to go and vote, and I still haven't figured out if there's anybody worth voting for. Because you get the same old shit repetitiously all the time, and I can go in the dream state and I can create my own political structure, and I can change it all around and move the people. And if I don't like the people, I can remove them or dematerialize them, kind of thing, and materialize new people. And I actually think what happens is I'm actually becoming a creator, literally, in the dream state, whereas before I was kind of being in, shall we say, I don't know, the wake up process of learning that physical reality and three-dimensional experience is really not all that much exciting. That's what you can do in the dream state, which is much more real than what it is here. And I think what's been helping to get on a little bit of a serious note here in this video is I think a lot of us, having gone through a lot of challenges in our lives and have faced a lot of difficulty in adverse situations, especially when it comes to other people, we have created something in ourselves, I think, that's, I don't know what's the word that I would call it, but we seem to be always looking or striving for something that gives us meaning, something that really gives us purpose, something that really gives us understanding of what we really, really, truly are capable of. And I think we're going to see some really profound things happening, because I know there are other people out there who are getting the dream state training, and they're going through the exercises and they're experiencing some pretty crappy stuff, and they're offloading a lot of their linear stuff from their genetic and hereditary traits in their bloodlines, okay, and they're eliminating a lot of these aspects of the dream state initially in the beginning. And they're also going through the preparatory, preparing their emotional and their mental body to accept new ideas and thoughts and concepts and belief systems that really don't fit in three-dimensional reality. But I think the biggest change that can take place in the dream state training, and I really actually do believe this, is it gives us the opportunity to really, really detach from three-dimensional reality. I think one of the things that is very important in the ascension process that I don't think anybody really talks about that much is in order to actually ascend into higher dimensions or higher consciousness or higher expressions of creativity, we actually have to detach from the limitations and protocols of this reality. And I know for myself in the last few years, it's been tricky, because I find in many cases 3D reality and all of the silliness that goes on with our political structure and all of the silliness that goes on with corporations and companies. And I sometimes think that governments and corporations and people who think they're in positions of power, I think they get the impression we're all stupid. That we're just there as pieces that they can play with. Well, you know what? The pieces are waking up, and the pieces are getting access to toys that the big boys are not going to like. And we're going to be very influential. Because what I'm finding out also in the dream state is this, and the dream state training, because I know a lot of you are going to relate to this. Every one of us has had these little gifts and skills, okay, that we've never really developed. And they're just kind of on the fringe of our awareness type of scenario. And I noticed recently, this was, several months ago, I noticed these little creative abilities that I never really kind of got into really started to take a prominent role in the dream state training. And one of them, I will share this one. So some of the stuff is pretty personal. I don't really want to share it, okay? But one of them was a thing where I could actually, this would be in the dream state training, where I could actually blend and merge with another person, literally. And I don't mean sexually, okay? Let's leave that out of it. Blend and meld with another person consciousness. And that would be the area, the head area, where the focal point of consciousness resists as the expression of that individual. And set up a mind-to-mind communication between the two of us that would simply exchange all of the knowledge and experience that I've ever had and experienced, and that person having all of the knowledge and experience that they've ever had, and we'd be able to exchange this energetically. And I recall a few nights that it happened where literally me and the other person would screw it up and actually man ourselves out quite the headaches type of deal. Stuff like this, sounds like kind of science fiction kind of stuff. And the other thing that I found out too is the stages, and again, these are not uniform the way they happen. They will be different for everybody. some of us are, emotional people. Okay, some of us are less emotional, some of us are more emotional, some of us are very stable emotional people. Some of us are very mental, some of us are very intellectual, some are analytical. You know what I'm talking about. And all of this goes through modifications in the dream state. And I found myself in the last little while going through these exercises of leadership. And leadership entailed going from the lower echelons of leadership right up to the higher echelons of leadership. And I know I can say I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I can tell you in the dream state training, boy, I've made a boatload of mistakes one right after the other. And all of this leadership training in different aspects and venues, each garnered for me different experiences in reactions to people at different stages and levels of consciousness. In other words, I got to react. It's going to be hard to put in words. I got to interact with people at different stages of evolution through different leadership capacities as to their particular, I hate to use the word level, but that's what it is, their particular level or attainment of consciousness, as it were, going from the bottom to the top and sometimes going up a little, back down, because I screwed it up, get it right and go back up again, do the same damn thing all over again. And then, I used to wake up a few months ago, I'd be more tired than when I went to bed. It's funny because now I can't wait to get to bed, and I wake up in the morning and I'm not tired. And I haven't had a lot of sleep in some cases because I've been frolicking through the tulips in the dream state, going to different dimensions, different timelines, different realities, and different experiences, and having fun doing it. Because I think a lot of the things too is when we become aware of our dreams and we start going through the dream state training, if that's the appropriate word, is we have a lot of naturally inclined fears I think we have to deal with. And a lot of those fears, I believe, have been instilled in us, okay, by our parents, but by society as a whole, okay, certain things you can do, certain things you can't do. And I think one of the most important ones I found in the dream state training is this, and I want to touch on this for a moment, is our sexuality and sexual energy and expression of our sexuality. Some of the dreams that I've had, and this is not now, but so much before, I didn't realize when it started happening to me that my own expression of sexuality had been for many, many years contained in a very limited box, so to speak. And I needed to let it out. And I think a lot of people are going through this also in the dream state, where they're having connections with beings and entities and energy forms and shapes. And it can manifest not in the traditional way, but it can actually manifest in the traditional way. Because I think a lot of us have lost the understanding that creativity and manifestation of creativity is in direct relationship to sexual energy and the use of sexual energy, which is a means that I believe that many people have used as a sort of power and manipulation to control the masses in that particular fashion. And in order for us in the dream state training to actually begin to wake up and be able to free ourselves, and because that's what, when you go to sleep at night, that's when 3D consciousness shuts down and greater consciousness can begin to express. And what I do believe is via the process of the three-dimensional awakening that we're going through, Kundalini awakening, heart center activation, and changes of personality, is exactly what was necessary for us to actually go through to begin to have the dream state training that we're going through at this particular point. So it all kind of fits the scenario as to what's going on. And I actually do feel, and I can see it happening now a little bit, because a lot of my dream state training, especially in regards to sexual energy, has begun to manifest in physical reality. And I noticed this about 3 or 4 years ago. And it's ongoing and ongrowing, if I can put it that way. And the sexual energy is your creative essence. It literally is. So in the dream state training, as consciousness of three-dimensional reality is put aside, and you actually get into what I believe is the true you, the true reality, the true sense of becoming what you are, you have to do this in a state of mind or a state of reality where you have total freedom without limitations, control, manipulations, or anything else. And I think the precursor to all of that is all of these ridiculous scenarios that we go through. And it will vary from individual to individual as to what they may entail. But which I actually think is actually perfectly normal for some of us to go through some of the stuff. And some of the stuff that some people go through, depending upon the soul group that they're in, or the bloodline, and the DNA and the genetic and hereditary traits are in perhaps a dysfunctional family or dysfunctional soul group, has to be cleansed and purged out. One of the things that I can think of here also that's taken place here, and I've noticed this quite a few in conversing with a few friends of mine, is one of the things that has been really, really rampant in our society, and I just want to touch on this for a moment, and this is being cleared off in the dream state by some of us who are experiencing this, is some of us have been creating, I don't know how to put this into words, this is going to get really sloppy, okay, I'm not going to do this well, so I apologize. What we're doing is in the dream state to eliminate sexual abuse that may have been in our bloodline or our family tree. We're actually recreating scenarios in the dream state training that we become a conduit. Is that the right word? Yeah, I guess so. We become a conduit or a channel for the elimination of that particular type of, I'm going to call it, misappropriation of sexual energy through the vehicle of the dream state, because in the dream state, we can experience an emotional response. And sexual abuse or misalignment of sexual energy is and does evoke an emotional response within the physical body, even if you're in the dream state. So if it can evoke an emotional response and a physical manifestation in the body, it can purge it and cleanse it out through actively doing it in the dream state. So I don't believe that the actual techniques or whatever we're doing in physical reality right now are actually doing a good job of doing that, because I don't think it's working. I think for those of us who have reached the point of, and I'm not trying to say there's some really unique and special people here. I'm just saying that there are people who have volunteered to do this, and I know I'm doing it for my bloodline and my family, and I've been doing it for a while. It's not been a fun picnic for a period of time, but that seems to have gone now. And now in the dream state, like I said, I can't wait to go to bed at night. I mean, I actually was sitting and I might be watching a little bit of TV at 9 or 9:30. I just can't wait to go to bed because I know I'm going to be fun time. Like, I think for me, and you'll see this in the other video that I'm going to put up today, is I think real life actually begins when you go to bed at night. That's when you really wake up and find out who you are, what you're capable of, and what you can do. I'm beginning to think that here, three-dimensional reality, that's the sleep state. We're all asleep. We are. You actually wake up when this body goes to sleep at night. So this is not real here. This is how I'm starting to feel now. And this is a carryover from the dream state. But what it's allowing me to do is to function. And also, this is very important. This is part of the ascension process. I do not believe that the ascension process and the information that's been given by many people goes far enough that the ascension process can only be achieved in regards to the dream state training for each and every individual as they're going through the unique combinations of stuff that they go through. And each individual will experience it in an individual way. You have to go through this to actually go through the ascension process and ascend in consciousness. And I believe right now that those of us who are having fun in the dream state and can't wait to go to bed at night, I believe we're 75 to 85% through the ascension process. We're that close. All right? We're that close to the ascension. That's what I believe. Some of you will say, well, you're full of shit now. That's okay. People tell me that all the time. But then again, so is everybody else. Otherwise, we'd all be constipated, wouldn't we? All right? So, in essence, the ascension process is part of this package of the dream state training. And see, I thought this was going to be a short video, and it actually turned out longer than what I thought. So, if anybody is kind of following me, because, on this video as to where I'm going with it, if you've reached the point where you're having fun, you can't wait to go to bed, it means you have really detached from physical reality and three-dimensional perspectives as a whole. The other thing that I have found in the dream state training that I'm experiencing now, and I want to touch on this for a moment here, and again, I'm going to have difficulty putting this into words, and I hope I don't flub it. This word called love that we have in physical reality, I have to admit at this particular point, based on some of the experiences that I'm having in dream state, I don't know what it is anymore, if I ever did. Because what I'm feeling is that love as we know it is nothing more than a belief system in three-dimensional reality. Love, as I'm experiencing it in the dream state training aspect, is a different kind of feeling. I don't believe I can put a word to it that will describe it. I can only say that what I've been experiencing is, I don't know how to put it. I'm sorry, I don't know how to put it in words. The only thing I can say, it's like a oneness, it's like a wholeness, it's like a, I don't know how to say it. It's something that you can feel through every cell in your body, through every organ in your body, through every aspect of who you are. And I believe that's who we are totally. And what's happened is we're in this three-dimensional reality, we're experiencing a very, I'm going to use the word dumbed down expression of love. That's a good word. We're experiencing love in a very dumbed down way. In its really, really purest form, as I'm starting to get indication in the dream state. When it started happening a few weeks ago, I wasn't quite sure how to handle it because it was an overwhelming experience, and it kind of left me in my daytime experience kind of feeling very overwhelmed. And I do believe that very, very soon, some of us will be able to experience that. Initially, we're experiencing this in the dream state training by ourselves, but I believe we'll be able to experience that with others. Now, somebody's going to say, well, what about the connection between you and Nicole, your twin flame? Yes, there's that connection, but there's more. Unfortunately, you can't say something ends with this or ends with that. There is no beginning, there is no end. It's perpetual. One is always growing and evolving and achieving. So I felt something that was, I don't have the words for, and it doesn't connect to what we believe. is love, which is the dumbed down expression that we have. So I'm eagerly anticipating going to bed and having more of these experiences that are going on. And I believe, and this is what I believe, again, I'm not an expert here, okay? I'm just sharing my experiences. You can throw them out, or if they relate to you and you connect with them, hey, better for it. All I'm just passing through like everybody else. I'm just a country boy passing through. I don't know anything, all right? And I'm no expert on anything. I'm just sharing my experiences as I go along. But I believe very shortly that some of that in the dream state, which constitutes what I just mentioned, will filter down. And this is going to have a dramatic effect with the mental, the emotional, the etheric, and also the physical body, because it's going to change the very cellular and molecular structure, which I believe is part of the Ascension process, as all of this programming has been gotten out of the system at this particular point. I'd be interested to hear your comments on this video, and if there is interest in other areas. I like to work in a question format. I know some people put comments down there, right, about, a paragraph or sometimes a paragraph and a half asking you a question. If you have a question, if you could be specific, with, videos or copies you might like me to discuss it. Try to do it that way because it helps me much better to kind of tap right into you and without having to take all of the odds and ends off the focal point of what you're trying to ask, kind of deal. Did I say that right? Yeah, I guess I did. Okay, I think that should, titillate a few people with this particular video here, and I'm actually glad I did it. It's kind of a fun one too, and I thought it would really love to do it. Take care, everybody. I love you all. See? I still use the word same as everybody else, right? But I'm doing it differently. Yeah, I'm going to send you some. Have a great day.